Welcome back to Autism at Home. My name is Jochebed Isaacs and thank you for joining us in our last lesson of our Following Instructions series. So far, we have taught how to teach a child to come here when called, how to follow everyday instructions learned in a natural, then a more formal setting. We even talked about how to teach a child to sit at the table for longer durations. Today, our last lesson is one that is not just an instruction, but an important behavior management strategy. Nice hands or gentle hands, hands to yourself. Nice hands is basically the action of using one's hands appropriately. For example, keeping one's hands to themselves or having gentle hands and not throwing things like hitting, throwing, scratching, and so on. There are actually many reasons children will do all these actions instead. And before teaching the instruction of nice hands, it helps to understand why are they not having nice hands? So let's recap. In our starter kit unit on managing challenging behaviors, the first question we must always ask when a challenging behavior happens is why? Is it to get something or is it to get away from something?
Refresher course. Let's watch some scenes of a child not having nice hands. Try to guess what the function or reason behind the behavior is.
Excuse me, no throwing things in the house.
What was the function of the behavior? To get a new toy, to get mommy's attention, to hear the noise of the toy, or to get away from work? Notice how the child deliberately goes near the adult, throws the toy, then quickly looks at the adult. It would be reasonable to assume they are looking for the attention. How about this one? What was the function of the behavior this time? This time, the child happened to be near the adult, but threw the item, looked at it, and covered their ears immediately. It is possible the child is looking for some sort of sound from when the toy hits the floor. Now this one.
Well, kids, it's almost time to do your homework. What was that for?
What was the function of the behavior? You're probably a pro at this now. The obvious function of the behavior is that the child is throwing the toy with hopes that will get them out of doing homework. In all three situations, the child threw something, but for three different reasons. If we don't identify why and address what is causing them to hit or scratch or throw things, telling them nice hands, even if they understand it, can only be so effective. For example, a child will continue to throw things if mom continues to give a big reaction to it, regardless of whether they understand what nice hands mean.
So do be sure to re-watch our starter kit lessons on managing challenging behaviors so you can apply the strategies there on preventing inappropriate behaviors like these, in addition to what we will teach you today. Typically, when we see a child throwing, hitting, or hand flapping, our first instinct is to tell them, don't throw, stop hitting, no scratching. Not only is this a lot of attention given to the inappropriate behavior, we cannot assume just by saying know this and know that, the child will automatically know what they should be doing instead. So when teaching nice hands, we change our response 180 degrees and focus instead on rewarding and reinforcing the expected behavior, which in this case is nice hands. The prerequisite for this program is that your child should be able to sit nicely at the table for at least 3 to 5 minutes, as the table is the best place to start teaching this program. The materials you will need are a nice hand social story to explain to a child what nice hands looks like and what it doesn't look like, a nice hands token board which clearly states first nice hands, then they see a picture of their preferred reward, and finally a timer which shows a child clearly how long they need to have nice hands for. Feel free to download templates of all these materials in our corresponding article on our Autism at Home website. Token boards vary by the number of tokens they have on them, be it 1, 5, 10, or 15. How many tokens a child can wait for until they get their reward varies from child to child. A good starting point is to start at 5. You can always add more tokens later. It is most successful to reward tokens starting just below the threshold your child can tolerate having nice hands. For example, if a child can only last about 10 seconds before they start swiping items off the table, consider rewarding them after about 7 seconds, 8 seconds, before moving up to longer durations. Here is an example of how to break down the skill of having nice hands, which continues up to perhaps a maximum of 1 minute. Be mindful that the duration doesn't build for longer and longer, as it can be unrealistic to expect a child to sit quietly at the table with nice hands for extended durations without doing anything. Naturally, as the overall duration gets longer, the longer you need to space the tokens out for. Now here's how you do the nice hands program. Let's assume they're waiting for 15 seconds. Once your child is at the table, read the social story on nice hands. Next, remind them on the token board, first nice hands, then reward. Next, set the timer, nice hands for 15 seconds. Give them tokens at intervals along with the timer until it reaches 15 seconds. Once your child has reached all the tokens, reward them immediately with their reward saying, "Good having nice hands," or whatever you want to call it. Let's see that in action after reading the social story.
Alright, Balkis. First nice hands and then timer stream. Nice hands for 15 seconds. Go! Hey, good having nice hands, Missy. Very good having nice hands. You're on a roll. Good job having nice hands. You are doing really well. And timer beep 5 tokens. Here you go. Timer stream, timer stream. Uh-oh.
Once your child starts to reach durations past 30 seconds, it's a good idea to have an easy activity out they can do while waiting for the timer to beep. Do be sure to praise them even during the activity for having the nice hands. Of course, nice hands are not expected just at the table, but in general at all times. It is essential once a child has learned the concept to practice this in the natural environment and initially bring the token system off the table with them. Perhaps they need to practice it at playtime too, or when they're around their younger siblings, or perhaps when visiting another person's home. Just as you would break the skill of nice hands down into durations, you should work your way up from the easiest natural situations to the hardest. And as always, remember to reward with tokens and praise for nice hands. As usual, here are some common problems that might come up on your quest to teach nice hands. My child can have nice hands only for a short time before they start hitting again. Try backtracking to the last duration they were most successful at and practice that a few more times until you are certain they have got it. It's also worth looking at their motivation and seeing if the reinforcer they want is something they are really willing to work for. I'm trying to practice nice hands at the table, but they still throw and push things around the house. Remember how managing challenging behaviors should take 90% of our energy? We want to shift our focus where, rather than noticing the times they're not having nice hands, recognize and give attention to the times they are having nice hands. Every time your child does a high five with you, or shakes hands, picks up something when asked, gently plays with their toys, these are all examples of having great hands, and we want to recognize them for that. For a child who's just learning how to have nice hands away from the table, starting off in an environment with several tempting items may be too difficult. Break the skill down by removing as many objects around they tend to throw and push, and practice in a clearer environment first, before slowly bringing back the objects in the home. There are also several strategies that are specific to the function of the behavior in the first place. For children who throw or scratch in order to get something, it's important to try to extinct or ignore that behavior, that is, trying your best to give no reaction to it, so as not to reinforce the child that not nice hands gets the attention they want. They also need to be taught and rewarded to communicate with their words, with their pictures or device, whenever they do want something. What about children who hand flap or flick their hands for self-stimulatory reasons? They may need replacement behaviors like visual toys or toys that spin or have wheels if they're seeking the input of watching things move and if this is a priority of their parents. Check out our lesson on increasing interest from our Making Learning Fun series, where we talked about other suggested plays for stimming repetitive behaviors.
Pop quiz. Dalit and his mom are having learning time at the table. Mom is holding up a flashcard and is asking him to read. Dalit reaches out and scratches Mom. What could be the possible function of Dalit's behavior? To get away from work, get Mom's attention, self-stimulate, or get his reinforcer? There seems to be a clear antecedent here. Dalit doesn't seem to enjoy being asked to read and is hoping by scratching Mom, he can get away from the work. Which strategies below can Dalit's mom do to make learning more successful? Use a strong reinforcer, ensure the flashcards are not too difficult, teach Dalit the concept of nice hands, or all of the above? Yes, all of the above. Break skills down into steps, use strong reinforcers, and teach Dalit what nice hands means so that if he does end up scratching, Mom can remind him to have nice hands. Several strategies must work together in order for learning to be successful. Now watch this snippet and advise what could be improved about the video.
Alright, Balkis, first nice hands and then Thomas Strain. Nice hands for 15 seconds. Ready, start. Yep, that's right. Yep, that is right. You're doing good. Okay. Yep, good. Good job. 5 tokens. Here you go. The Thomas Strain.
What could be improved about the video? Using a shorter duration for nice hands, being specific about praise, using strong reinforcement, or just practicing more. That video was good overall, but the adult should specifically praise the child good having nice hands or even point at those nice hands. Otherwise, the child might be unclear why they're getting the reward. Is it for sitting at the table? Is it for looking at the adult? Make it clear why they're being rewarded.
Now it's your turn. If your child does not understand the concept of having nice hands, try practicing the steps we just discussed at home. Starting just below their threshold, reward nice hands over a longer and longer duration. Then generalize practice around and outside the home, not forgetting to bring the tokens and rewards with you initially. Most important is to try shifting your attention from pointing out when your child is not having nice hands and instead notice and praise the times they do show nice or even great hands. Well, that brings us to the very end of our lesson series on following instructions. We truly hope the lessons on come here table, come here play, basic instructions, sitting nicely, nice hands have been really helpful to you, and you've got to already get started on teaching some of it. Autism at Home is brought to you by the Hope Project, which is the non-profit arm of EAP Malaysia. All the content development, our clinical expertise and time is completely borne by EAP, and the production of these videos so far are funded solely through donations and fundraising. If you find these resources helpful and would like to contribute in some way, please do pledge a donation at autismmalaysia.com/thehopeproject. Thank you for watching, and we will see you soon.